Welcome to Movie Caps. Today, I will show you a crime and mystery thriller from 2018, titled, Under the Silver Lake. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The building manager of Rancho Silver Lake Apartments has sent Sam with an eviction notice. As he sits on his balcony, Sam receives a call from his mother, telling him about a movie. While on the call, he spies on a topless lady with his binoculars, while also looking at his new neighbor Sarah. A couple of minutes later, Sam's actress friend visits him. Both of them end up having sex, and while they are doing it, his friend asks Sam about his Kurt Cobain poster, after which the pair hears a TV newscast, stating that wealthy mogul Jefferson Sevens has gone missing. His friend also notices a Playboy lying there, and Sam tells her that it is his favorite edition. Sam goes to a bookstore a little while later, and buys a comic called, Under the Silver Lake. Before leaving, Sam requests that the cashier connect him with the comic's creator. On his way home, Sam notices a skunk and his neighbor's dog sitting outside. He starts feeding the dog some treats, and Sarah comes out. The two start talking to each other, and Sarah invites him in. While stoned and watching How to Marry a Millionaire, Sam and Sarah develop an interest in one another. Sarah's wrist is adorned with an engraved metal bracelet, which Sam observes. They are about to get intimate, when Sarah's two roommates arrive home, with a mysterious man dressed as a pirate, who turns out to be Jefferson Sevens in disguise. Sarah calls it a night suddenly, but encourages Sam to hang together the next day. When he gets home, Sam reads Under the Silver Lake. A recent wave of animal fatalities, ascribed to the dog killer, is linked in the comic to a failed silent cinema actor, who despised famous showbiz dogs. The actor's suicide sparked the legend of the Edendale curse, which said that no one in the neighborhood would be happy, until all of the dogs were dead. Sam had a nightmare, about following a trail of dog treats to Sarah's deceased pet. Before jolting awake, Sam notices a guy costumed as Sarah, devouring the dog's guts. When Sam returns to Sarah's flat, he discovers that it is absolutely vacant. The building manager reveals that Sarah and her roommates went out in the middle of the night, before delivering a verbal warning about Sam's overdue rent. He and a friend go to a pub to discuss Sarah and the dog killer. Sarah's apartment is unoccupied, so Sam sneaks inside it. There he picks up a Polaroid of Sarah from a shoebox of possessions left behind. There he also sees a sign of two diamonds on the wall. Suddenly the door opens, and Troy walks and takes the shoebox. Sam decides to follow Troy and her companions about town in secret, until they hand the package over to the pirate. He then follows the three women to the Standards rooftop bar, where the local band, Jesus and the Brides of Dracula, is performing. There he tries to confront Troy about Sarah's unexpected absence, but gets kneed in the crotch. He then runs into Alan, a buddy of his. They are each given cookies that serve as tickets to a hidden performance in Hollywood Forever Cemetery. When word emerges that her father was discovered dead with three women, suspected of being prostitutes, Sam and Alan notice Millicent Severance's reaction. Sam learns later that night that Sarah's hat was among the things discovered at the crime site. The author of Under the Silver Lake, the comic man, phones Sam to invite him to his home. On his way home, he thinks he is being followed by a stranger, and while he runs, he is sprayed on by a skunk. Sam's actress buddy comes over to visit, as he is bathing to get rid of the skunk smell. The actress reads from the zine about the Owl's Kiss, a legendary murderer who wears an owl mask, and is said to be a member of a cult, responsible for scores of killings in the Los Angeles area. Sam admits to being fascinated by hidden meanings in popular culture, that he believes is intended for society's elite to uncover. He has another dream about Sarah. Later that morning, Sam goes to the comic man's residence. He inquires about the double diamond sign that he noticed at Sarah's place. Sam is shown a cipher of old hobo codes that identifies the sign as Stay Quiet. The latest surge of disappearing pets, humans, and musical instruments, according to Comic Man, may have something to do with the Owl's Kiss. He is also shown additional hidden messages in commercial advertising by Comic Man. Sam is taken to a secret cubbyhole with a system of concealed surveillance cameras by Comic Man. There he is shown a vintage box of Space Stone cereal, with a map of the region on the back. Comic Man reveals that if he can crack the map's code, he will find the secret to everything he has been looking for. Sam pays a visit to his buddy in the bar, and expresses his worries that someone may be watching him, as his friend deploys a drone to spy on a sorrowful woman undressing. Sam then visits Hollywood Forever Cemetery, where an indie film is being screened outside. Sam notices two of the film's actresses standing beside a grave, with a man dressed in Native American regalia. The three depart in a car with a pirate, after Sam introduces himself. To obtain access to the hidden concert, Sam eats the entire cookie he received at the Standard. There he is given a record by Jesus and the Brides of Dracula. He also bumps into Alan, who tells him of a rumor that the band's music contains a secret message. He also sees Balloon Girl, a girl he saw at the concert earlier. Sam inquiries about Sarah's whereabouts, and is taken to an underground pub by Balloon Girl, where they dance, until Sam becomes ill from unknown substances in the cookie. Balloon Girl is no longer visible. Sam notices Troy, and attempts to chase her down, but he passes out in the graveyard. Sam is awakened the next morning by another phone call from his mother. Sam's mother informs him that she is mailing him a VHS copy of the Janet Gaynor film she mentioned earlier. Sam notices that he collapsed on Janet Gaynor's grave. While playing Super Mario Bros. On the NES, Sam and a friend from earlier in the movie debate hidden passwords. In an ad for the Shooting Star escort service, Sam notices the two actresses from the graveyard. One of the females is summoned to Sam's apartment. When the Shooting Star notices Sarah's Polaroid on Sam's refrigerator, she recalls seeing her at a party in a gated neighborhood owned by a famed composer years ago. The next day, Sam manages to decode the secret phrase, "Rub Dean's head and wait under Newton," in the Jesus and the Brides of Dracula song Turning Teeth. Sam visits the Griffith Observatory, where he massages James Dean's bust, and then waits beneath an Isaac Newton monument. There he meets the homeless king, who is shown to be a filthy guy wearing a paper crown. Before bringing Sam through Griffith Park to an underground passage, the king blindfolds him. The king informs Sam along the journey that if he ever finds himself alone with a coyote, he should follow it to see where it leads. Sam examines what looks to be a prepared fallout shelter, leading to a food shop, after being left alone in the tunnel. Later, Sam goes to Comic Man's residence, where a police officer informs him that Comic Man has allegedly committed suicide. Sam enters the residence undetected, and observes the Owl's Kiss planning to assassinate Comic Man in his bed, on footage captured by the concealed security cameras. Sam grabs the treasured cereal box, and rushes out the door. He then phones Alan, to inquire about how he might contact Jesus. Sam is taken to an outdoor chess party by Alan, where he sees Balloon Girl and the two shooting stars among the guests. Sam tackles Jesus in the restroom at the party, demanding to know about the secret message concealed in his music. Jesus claims that his record label pushed him to record his 3 successful songs, while also requiring him to refrain from asking any questions. The real author of the songs, according to Jesus, is known as the songwriter. Sam asks Shooting Star about the party she mentioned before. He is then escorted to a mansion by Balloon Girl and the two shooting stars, where he confronts the songwriter about the coded messages and bomb bunker. For centuries, the songwriter confesses that he has written every successful song ever recorded. Sam is cryptically taunted by the songwriter, who explains that all of the artworks he has believed in his whole life are artificial inventions, beyond his comprehension, and their secret messages are not meant for him. As the argument intensifies, the songwriter pulls out a revolver and fires it at Sam. In response, Sam beats him to death with a guitar. Sam's residence gets infiltrated by the Owl's Kiss. The building manager arrives at the door, with a sheriff, to remove Sam, but the sheriff decides to give Sam one more day. Sam then tracks down a coyote to a party, and stumbles into his ex-girlfriend, who introduces him to her new fiancé. He also meets Millicent Sevens, who points out a Janet Gaynor picture amid the host home's furniture. Sam informs Millicent that his buddy was with her father when he died, and Sam has been attempting to learn more about her. As he and Millicent travel around the Silver Lake Reservoir, Sam reveals all he's discovered. Millicent offers Sam a metal bracelet, seized from her father's office, that looks similar to the one Sarah was wearing. Both of them skinny dip in the reservoir, but Millicent is killed by sniper fire, and her dying picture is reminiscent of the Playboy magazine cover. The next day, Sam starts connecting numerals etched on the bracelet to a chessboard, a Legend of Zelda map in the inaugural issue of Nintendo Power, and a map located inside Comic Man's cereal box. He is doing this to discover the secret place. Sam arrives at the spot, and notices a hobo emblem, indicating that the area is unsafe. He then enters a tiny cottage, where he encounters the enigmatic Final Man, who is flanked by Troy and her two companions. Sam recounts what he's learned thus far, and inquiries about Sarah. The bomb bunker Sam discovered is actually a tomb for kings like Final Man and Jefferson Sevens, according to Final Man. Final Man explains to Sam that these elite areas are where the world's wealthiest men reside for several months, while awaiting ascension to a higher level, where they would be awarded eternal life. Final Man puts up a videophone for Sam to communicate with Sarah, who is presently housed in an underground bunker, with Jefferson Sevens and 2 other women. Sarah verifies that she is okay, and that she opted to visit the tomb of her own volition. Sarah also inquiries about Sam's plans to buy another dog. After sipping the tea that Final Man gave him, Sam is knocked out. When he awakens, he discovers that he is being held hostage by the homeless king. The king becomes enraged, and demands to know why Sam was carrying dog biscuits in his pocket. Sam says, with tears in his eyes, that they were for his ex-dog girlfriends, and that he had been holding on to them, in the hopes that she would take him back. Sam is released by homeless king, with the shaky assurance that members of the conspiracy will not kill him. Sam is also told by the king, not to say anything to anyone. When he gets home, he watches a Janet Gaynor film with his mother, then goes over next door to have sex with his neighbor. From the balcony of her apartment, he sees the 2 diamond symbols over his door. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this.